Good afternoon, everyone. I'll be talking about virtual language teaching in Norway, more specifically the county of Vestfold. So I represent one of many web-based initiatives within public schooling, specifically high schools. Now, this requires a new teacher role. How do we benefit as teachers using all this data, as you mentioned? Now, what are we? We believe we excel in two areas, and they are virtual teaching, on the one hand, teaching through the screen, enabling good student-teacher relationships, and on the other side is production of e-lectures. So this is a 2-year project that will be prolonged in our county. Now, we provide fast-track courses for high-achieving students in middle school and in high school, so students who love mathematics can attend courses on high school level as they are still in middle school. And then we have smaller courses. So in my county, we have 6 high schools, 2 big ones, and the rest of them are rather small. So the challenge, of course, is to provide as many courses as possible to as many students as possible. But as of now, that's not really happening because of high cost. And then I'll be talking about the new teacher role, because we need to change our way of thinking, starting to teach in a virtual space. So we have mathematics courses and foreign languages. As of now, Spanish, French, German, all level 3, which is the highest level in Norway for foreign languages before you enter university level. And then we have Chinese level 1. We have 240 students, so this is quite a small operation right now. We have 8 teachers, 1 manager, and 2 technologists. Now, why would we do this? The Department of Education in Norway, they approve 40 foreign languages. 40 foreign languages can be taught, both in middle schools and in high schools. So why can't we? Now, we can't because we are locked down to brick and mortar schools. So we're all dependent on the teacher resources in the relevant schools, right? So in certain schools, like in Oslo or in Bergen, larger cities, you can have Italian, you can have Japanese, you can have Portuguese. But if you live further north or in smaller places, it's usually German, French, and maybe Spanish. So how can we complement the brick and mortar thinking of education? Well, cloud-based, obviously. We need to move a lot of these courses up in the cloud. And we do this to personalize these courses. And they're also location independent, so students don't have to commute back and forth. And we need scalability. So as you see, we're quite a small operation now, but we hope to scale this up through collaboration with other counties. So remember, this is a government-initiated project. And we want the ultimate ambition is flexibility and fluidity. By that I mean an education for our kids through K-12 education to have their day-to-day life in a brick-and-mortar school, but to complement that with online courses throughout the day, or after school. So we tend to think that school is 9 to 4 operation, but it turns out that our students, they prefer to have these online courses in the evening, from 8 to 9, from 9 to 10. It doesn't really matter. They're online anyway, so they might as well learn something. This is also about the democratization of education. So not only students in the bigger cities, in the bigger high schools, can benefit from the teacher resources at that school, but also smaller schools. So it's also a good way of thinking student-based offers within the education space. How do we do this? Well, we need to change the skill set of our teachers, because it's a large leap from standing in a classroom, lecturing in a traditional way, one-to-many, and to teach online one-to-many. So I'm going to visualize this by showing you a typical workflow for the teacher and for our students in a normal week. So here you have Lisa, our student, on Monday. And she would normally attend class, right? Let's say for German level 3, and then there would be a lecture. So what we do is that we flip this, and we move that online to an online platform, like Moodle. We're using a different platform. And then Lisa would prepare for the virtual lesson on Tuesday, right? So she's doing homework online. So she's watching these videos produced by our teachers, and she's answering questions. She's writing short pieces. She's collaborating with fellow students. And of course, this will generate, as you know, a report. And this report is quite rudimentary, but it provides the teacher with information to plan her lesson on that following Tuesday. And then the teacher can target their teaching, right? So you have a group of 15 students, and we're using Adobe Connect as a video web conference tool. So by using pods, breakouts, you can differentiate learning. So especially in these level 3 language groups, we have native speakers, and then we have very proficient Norwegian nationals that are quite proficient in German, but they're different levels, right? So then you can have breakouts and you can differentiate. But this requires a different skill set from our teachers. So that's also part of our job, is to train them, help them, recording sessions, and after sessions, analyzing and discussing with teachers how they can enhance their lessons. And then, of course, we have this element of cloud-based collaborations. We have students collaborating on various platforms. It could be Office 365, it could be social networking sites, it could be Padlet, it could be anything. But the idea is to have a language immersive experience, because a learning and acquiring a language requires immersion, obviously, and ideally you would move to that country. But here we want the students to use the target language throughout the week, outside of lessons as well. And mind you, students, they have to attend these classes. So attendance is taken, so they need to show up for class online, and they have to complete these e-lectures. So where are we heading with all of this? Now, tools. I've been to quite a few conferences, and I've looked here today, and there's all these fantastic tools that can do all kinds of things, and they have different categories. And of course, as an institution, you need to decide upon some tools. But to us, the toolbox is not the topic of discussion, really. So we would like to be tool agnostic. So next year is a different tool, and in 5 years' time there's different tools, but you need to put these together so they cater to the needs of the problem that you're trying to solve, or the challenges at hand. But we're using Campus Increment, which is quite a nice interface for teachers and students to use to publish the e-lectures and to generate that learning data for them to use. And then we're using Office 365 for student management and student production, for the students to collaborate in terms of writing, producing audio clips, video clips, podcasts, and whatnot in that week, in that course. And then we're using, well, a couple of our teachers, they're using OneNote class notebook, also for student management and also for that collaborative experience. And then we're using Adobe Connect. Now, as I said, this is still a small operation, but we believe it has a national potential in Norway and also an international potential. So we have lots of initiatives on county level, but it also requires collaboration across borders of counties in Norway, so you can have these clusters of expertise, right, to solve these issues of high-achieving students. And I'm focusing on foreign languages, and mathematics is another field, of course. But of course, we have challenges. For the past 2 years now, economy is a big one. Who's paying the bill? And attitudes in faculty, in teacher unions. What do you do about teaching in the evening? How do you compensate that? And attitudes among parents, among staff, of course. What does this do to the brick and mortar schools that we have? And digital mastery is another field, of course. How do we equip our teachers to master the role of virtual teaching? And we also want to head into the future where we also take care of students with disabilities, dropouts, students with mental illness and other aspects that create a way for them, prohibits them from attending school, right? So how can we use all of this technology and knowledge that we have now to help them also complete their academic course? And more foreign languages, as I said, in Norway, 40 languages are approved to teach. But for the most part, we only have 2 or 3 foreign languages in each school. And more speciality courses that we don't have enough students in each school. But on a county base, we might have 30, 60 students interested in informatics, coding, programming, all of these other emerging courses that also should be part of K-12 curriculum, but for different reasons is not. And then exam prep courses. We've done this twice now because we have quite a huge flunk rate in rudimentary mathematics for quite a few students. So how do we deal with that? Well, we've set up 6-week courses where you have virtual lessons, and we're using e-lectures of flipped methods to help them pass their exam in November. So we can also expand on this on different levels. And then last one is faculty competence. Also use what we have learned here through this process of catering to foreign language courses, also to help faculty members, staff members to enhance their competence in both digital mastery or any other field. Well, that is it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.